to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. All things hockey, all the time. And now, here are your hosts, two washed-up beer leaguers who have no idea what they're talking about, Zach Martin and Alex Nuttall.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Chicago Blackhawks edition of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast. I am Zach Martin, and always with me is my good buddy Alex Nuttall. Alex, how are you doing tonight, man?
What up? Doing great. Doing awesome. And we're doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah. So this is we're starting the new format where we're doing individual episodes for the Blackhawks, the Blue Jackets, and the NHL in general overall, and also our special edition episodes. So if you're looking for the CBJ part of the show, wait for a couple of days. We will be dropping that. So tonight we have our Blackhawks segment, and then probably a couple of days after the Blue Jackets one drops, we will have our general NHL segment. So this is something kind of new that we're doing. We're trying to break it up a little bit for the people who want to get more Hawks talk or more Jackets talk, or if you just want more general NHL news, like maybe say an Eric Stahl trade, or maybe some draft stuff that's coming up soon, or playoff stuff that's going to happen when we get closer to the playoffs. We will definitely have episodes individual for that as well. But if you want a full edition episode to that, we will maybe figure something out. If you guys want full length episodes, we'll try to combine all the segments together. We don't know see how that goes. And if you guys want that in the future, but this is something we're going to do a little bit different, where we are breaking up all of our stuff into individual segments. So the Hawks over this last week did have a nice little mini series sweep against the Florida Panthers, which is kind of nice. Which is kind of nice because it has been a little rough for the last few weeks. If anyone caught our 10th episode, I had my own little special therapy segment with Alex, where this Blackhawks team is making me frustrated because every time we play a team from Florida, somehow just never ended up well. But finally, we kind of broke through on that and got a nice little 2-game winning streak after having a 4-game skid, where on Tuesday night they won 3-2. And last night they won 3-0. So it actually feels kind of nice, Alex, right now to see my Blackhawks actually doing good. And for the fact now, too, with those 2 games, the Hawks now have a 3-point cushion as the number 4 team in the Central Division. I know we'll probably talk about your Jackets, on the Jacket segment of the show, but right now I'm feeling pretty good, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Lankinen's swagger is back, because this dude, let me tell you, 41 saves in the shutout last night in that win, and then absolutely just plays a phenomenal game Tuesday night against Florida. Yes, Florida did come back a little bit, but I was kind of nervous because we were up like 3-0. They get 2 goals in a row, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Can we please not have like this where we somehow give up, get like a huge 2-3 goal lead and we absolutely just blow it? But hey, they held on, and like I said, I can officially say I think Lankinen is back. And the links for Calder hashtag on Twitter is thriving nice and well. So I'm enjoying for the fact that Lankin has been playing really well, man.
For sure. I mean, and he definitely has been. You guys won those 2 games against Florida, but before that, you won 2 of 9. Chicago did not look good at all.
I don't know what happened. It was wild. Like, we were playing so well. Like, we had a decent lead on you guys for the 4 spot. I'm not trying to rub it in or anything, but we had a solid advantage on the 4 for the 4 spot. Like you said, going 2 for 9, getting huge leads, blowing them late, or just getting blown out. And it's just like, it was getting to the point, I'm like, please don't tell me that we were playing out of our minds and now we finally come back to earth. And it's just because I was seeing like articles saying, oh, Lankinen and Subban came back to earth. The Hawks are playing how they were supposed to. Everyone think they were going to be playing. And I'm like, no, this isn't it. No, we've been playing solid all year because for whatever reason it's been working. Like, to say that we're coming back to earth, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that. Like, don't give me that sense of like, oh, we were really good for the first half of the season, then we hit game 30 and it's just we hit the slide, and it's like, No, please don't do that to me.
Yeah,
don't do that right now.
Yeah, looking at some of your games, like so for example, last night's game, you guys looked okay in the first period, but Patrick Kane gets that goal a minute into the second, and that's kind of when it's like, all right, you guys kind of got a little bit of your swagger back, and you looked really good.
Yeah, for whatever reason, sometimes the first period is kind of a slow period for the Hawks, and they pick it back up, and then at that point, it's like they're already down maybe a couple goals, or it's like they get a lead and they blow it in the second. So it feels like we've actually, it seemed like last night's game was more of the Hawks where they played more complete, but there's still some games where they start hot and slow down, or they start really slow and then catch fire. But by then it's too late.
Yeah.
So I was like, we are getting wins, which is nice, but it's at the same time, it's still kind of like, I'm still looking for a solid 60 out of the team overall. But I mean, like I said, I'm not complaining right now for the fact of how good Kevin Lincoln has been playing right now. I mean, like I said, 41 saves in that shutout last night. You'll take that any day. Like that, he's back. Like Lincoln is officially back.
Well, and it's good that happened last night too, because it kind of gets you guys back on track a little bit. But you guys have
a rough schedule.
You guys have 4 more home games straight, and then you have a game in Nashville, and then you have 2 more against Dallas at home. You guys have a lot of home games in a row. This could be a massive homestand for you guys. Especially, if the Blue Jackets can't really figure out what's going on there, you guys could take a really good lead, and you could almost not going to 100%, but you could all but solidify your spot in that 4 seed for the playoffs.
Yeah, which would be absolutely wild because, like I said, we still got Florida, we still have to play Tampa again, and we still got to play Dallas. And like I said, we got that weird 4-game stretch against Nashville where it's 1 on the road. Then I think we have like 3 straight against them right after that, back in Chicago. And those are the games you kind of have to at the worst you have to go 2-2 against Nashville in that 4-game series.
Yeah,
like you have to go at least 2-2. Like you can't lose more than 2 games. And like I said, when you got to play, I mean Tampa, you would almost have to split. At this point, we got to split Tampa and we got to beat Florida. Or split. We got at least got to split the Florida teams at this point because those 2 teams are super good. And I think we got Carolina. I think we might have Carolina again. I'm not sure. I don't think we do again, but like we got to win the games that matter because right now Nashville and Dallas, they're talking about Seguin coming back at some point. I think it's like April that they're talking about having Seguin come back. And if Dallas is anywhere near the 4 spot when he comes back, that's going to be a problem. So if you're the Hawks, you got to get enough of a lead for that when that star series comes before the playoffs in May. You got to hope you're far enough ahead that Dallas won't catch you because if Seguin comes back, Dallas can get hot. Yeah, I mean
that's why right now is the time for the Blackhawks.
They have
to win these games in gap because looking at it at the end of the season, you guys have a game against Tampa, then you have 2 against Florida, and you have that 3-game series in Carolina, who are uncharacteristically amazing in Carolina right now, and then you have 2 against Dallas in Chicago. But still, depending on what's going on, you guys could easily lose a lot of ground depending on what's going on. And if you have Taze back, whenever Kirby Dach comes back, which looks like it should be very soon.
Oh, because if you follow, Charlie Marliotis or Bowden, or if you follow Lazarus or Powers, they're all sharing videos of Kirby Dach going he's there 30 minutes after practice and it's still skating and stuff because he wants to get back.
Yeah.
Like everyone knew he was going to come back, but if we get him back probably the next maybe 3 weeks at the most, now you're talking about having your number 2 center back. And you got your guy who could solidify your number 1 line with Alex DeBrincat and Patrick Kane. Could you imagine DeBrincat, Dach, and Kane on the line together as your first line, and you move down Pius Suter and have him paired with Kubalik and
I think a lot of that
it's gonna be wild.
No, for sure. And I think a lot of that's also going to depend on the state that Kirby Dach is in when he comes back, because he could come back and he could still be pretty cold and slow for 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you can start him off as the third line center or the second line center, but still trying to ease him back into the lineup for sure. But at some point, you could probably see him be the number one center because with Taze still being out, whenever we're going, hopefully Taze is okay and stuff like that. But yeah, if we get Doc back, that's gonna be a huge boost to the center line, and that's putting on another guy who can probably put in 10 goals.
Oh, easily.
And it'll definitely be nice, and it makes you wonder because now with the restrictions kind of being shortened on Canada to get trades from the Canadian teams, you can get guys in a week now instead of 2 for quarantine. And the Hawks have like a $21 million cap space with Seabrook retiring.
Yeah.
Now the question is, would our GM do that? I'm not sure. I mean,
I think a lot of it
really depends on because right now Bowman he doesn't think the Hawk do you want to push it now, or do you think you want to wait for it to be next year where you can get more guys on free agency? Because do you want to go for a rental? And I can see why you want to go for a rental because the Hawks right now are ahead of schedule. Like, we're not supposed to be this good already. I mean, are we a Stanley Cup contender? Maybe not.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be you're supposed to be not supposed to be this good because, I mean, you have Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taze and you have these guys, but a lot of it is you lose so many people in the offseason. I feel like it was the Blue Jackets, 2 seasons ago? You lose Panarin and Bobrovsky and Duchesne. With you guys, you lose Jonathan Taze, and then you lose Duncan Keith a little bit at the beginning. And then,
Seabrook's been out all year. He retires. Doc's been out the whole season. Yeah. So it's like,
and then you lose Corey Crawford, and you don't know what your goalie situation's like. People expected the Blackhawks to be 6 or 7. I know I did. I didn't see them being like that.
I was seeing people putting them like 7 or 8 in the division, and them being like at the top, in the bottom 5 of the league, going for a lottery pick.
Yeah,
that's what it was. That's what everyone. Even I said at the most I could see is I put us at 6 in our preseason predictions. I have a 6. I'm like, if we get hot, maybe we could sneak the 4 spot. But we would have to get really lucky, and that's even if we had Taze and Doc. If we had Taze and Doc, we're a 4 seed. If we're lucky enough. Yeah. But right now, I mean, I'm still surprised. I mean, right now as a number 4 seed, and we still have none of those guys back. And Andrew Shaw is on concussion protocol, and like I said, Seabrook just retired. It's a weird situation to be in, but I'm not upset about it because, like I said, the Blackhawks are good. We're getting some guys back, but the fact that they lost that lead that they did have on you guys, it stunk a little bit because you don't go 2-6, and then you see the Jackets get hot and they start winning games, and you guys jump us. And now it's like, okay, now we got the 4 seed back, but like you said, this is the opportune time where we got to start winning games on a more consistent pace. Because, like I said, you get Sagan back, and let's say Nashville all of a sudden gets hot, and they figure out what's going on with them. You don't want to be anywhere near that cutoff line if Dallas or Nashville gets hot. And the reason I'm saying CBJ is because with you guys, it's like, who knows what you get with the Jackets every other night. Yeah, you can have a team where you guys are beating the brakes off of people or blowing the doors off. And there's nights like last night, you guys can't put a puck in the net. It's like I'm still worried about the Jackets because you guys are only 3 points back of us, but we've played the same amount of games, but we're done playing you for the rest of the season. So it's just we got one more series against you guys. But still, though, it's just like you need to win games now. Like with this big homestand we're having where it's super long, you got to win all these games.
Yeah, you have to because,
you can't rest on laurels and you can't slip up.
You guys want to sit there and get that separation above the Blue Jackets. Now's the time to do it because the end of the season is not when you do it because historically the Blue Jackets are better in like the last month of the season. Now, is that the same this year? I don't know. You get different players every year. It's a different year with Torts and stuff like that. But, the Blackhawks, if they want to get that separation and maintain that gap over the Blue Jackets or Nashville or Dallas or anything like that, it needs to be now, not in a month when you have guys like Sagan can come back from injury. And then you never know. Because the thing is, you guys could get that separation, and then in a month, Jonathan Taze could come back somehow. And then, okay, well, guess what? Now you can get an even bigger gap. Or you come back and, you know what? He's got to knock the rust off for a couple games. So you lose 3 in a row. Well, it's fine because you have a big gap. So it's not that big of a deal when the season's coming to a close. So now is the time for the Blackhawks to really make that change and get that push.
Yeah. Because the last thing you want to do is start dropping games now. Then you're looking at like what 2 weeks left, and you're going into April or May. You're going into May or something like that, and you got like what 5 games left, and you got to win almost all of them, or you got to win at least like 3 of them to make to get in the playoffs. No, you don't want to put yourself in a situation where it's like these are all must wins. You got to win right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I mean, every game is a must win because they're all divisional games. You're talking about a 4-point swing on almost every game. Like if, like say the other night, you guys, lost in overtime. If you guys lose in regulation, that's a 4-point swing. Then we're talking about a 4-point gap.
Yep.
Instead of 3. Or let's say you guys don't let Carolina score and you guys win in regulation. Now we're still talking a 1-point gap between the Jackets and the Hawks. Yeah. So like every game is going to matter. And that's the thing that's crazy. It's like, you really can't take a night off. You have to get consistent because
and that's why you have some of these games this year more than most years. Those overtime points matter. For example, I'll touch more on when we get to the Blue Jackets episode, but we made it to overtime last night. We scored 15 seconds left. Okay, well, we go to overtime. Okay, well, we get that extra point. That helps, especially it's this close of a race. And the thing is, you look at the Blackhawks, they could go into a big slide, or the Blue Jackets could, or Nashville or Dallas could, or something. You need to be able to take advantage of that point in time, and that's what the Blackhawks need to do. I think they're at this point. I think they're going to be buyers before the deadline. Do I think they're going to make a huge move? No.
It's going to be like a bottom 6 type move.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a big move, but if so, it's going to be like 1. It's with your wing situation, the guys on the wing. Do you think the Blackhawks need any wingers or anything like that?
I would say, I mean, if you look at this, I mean, we still have, you got a Kubalik, you got a Khrushchev, you got Kane, you got DeBrincat, you got Janmark, Wallmark. I would say, we would definitely need some wing help, but I would also say maybe some center help too, because while you do have Suter who's doing really well, you still also have Soderberg, and you got, Kampf and Strome. Those are good centers, but it's not really a center group that I'm 100% all aboard on. Now, if we get Doc back, that's going to definitely change things for sure. I would say definitely if we actually had to get a boost, I would definitely say probably the wing. I would almost venture to say maybe also another defenseman, because while we do have Ian Mitchell who's been playing really well, Boquist has been doing okay, but he definitely got bodied on a power play against Duclair, where Duclair absolutely just had his will against him. And I just don't think Boquist, his physicality is still not there for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I would say if we really had to go get someone, we would definitely need to get someone on the defense. If anything else, I say a defenseman or a winger. We need to get one of those 2 spots, because our defense can still give up way too many chances and still can be suspect on some nights if they're not on their game.
All right. So on that note, on Twitter earlier, I saw that apparently the asking price for Taylor Hall is a 1st-round pick. Would you make that move? You guys have your 1st-round pick for the next 3 seasons, or for the next 3 drafts. Would you entertain trying to make that rental move for Taylor Hall this year?
I mean, that's really tough. If we're talking like Taylor Hall out of Edmonton, yes. Now, if we're talking about Taylor Hall that's playing in Buffalo right now, that's
well. So the way I see it with Buffalo is, Taylor Hall's not doing well. Jack Eichel wasn't doing well. Jeff Skinner, LOL. But
even
Arizona, I think there's a whole situation in Buffalo that there's no chemistry at all. Taylor Hall's
No.
still good. That's the thing. But he's playing on a terrible team.
Well, even in Arizona, though, Taylor Hall wasn't Taylor Hall. Like,
no, but
even
it's
like in
that
New
was
Jersey,
also Arizona too.
well, okay, if you're talking like a Taylor Hall in New Jersey, then sure, I would be all for that. But after New Jersey, what have you seen out of Taylor Hall? Absolutely nothing. And I know it's. I mean, let's not give Arizona too much crap. They are still a good team. Like they still play good hockey. Are they are they like a contender? No, but they're not the worst. They're not a Detroit, an Ottawa, or Buffalo, or stuff like that. Like Arizona can still play. They're still a good team. They just unfortunately don't have enough bodies on that team to make them super good. But they're still a team that can make a playoff push and do something in the playoffs. We saw what they did last year in the bubble. So I wouldn't say would that give them too much credit, or not give them enough credit. But
so do you see the Blackhawks?
It's tough.
Do you see the Blackhawks making a trade for any of these big name free agents for a rental, or do you see him maybe putting together a package to go after a Jack Eichel or anything along those lines? I'm not saying Jack Eichel in particular, but do you see more of a rental move or a packaged move for somebody as a long-term solution to something?
I would love to
even
say,
in net. Who knows?
Well, I would say, but in net, I would say most likely it's going to be, if it's going to be a rental, it's not going to be an absolute ridiculous, hit on the cap, I guess. And it's depending on who it is. So that's the weird spot that the Hawks are in, because Stan Bowman, it's like, does he want to make a rental or do you want to keep a guy long term? And the fact that the Hawks have so much cap space now, you can make the case and say, yeah, let's go get somebody. But then you look at it too, it's like the Hawks aren't a team right now that can be like, let's go buy someone and make that final push for the playoffs or make a push for the cup. They're in that weird spot of like, they're good, but it's more of like they're going to be a first round or second round exit type team. I would say more of a second round exit, depending on who they. Now, if we get Tampa in the first round, which is probably what it's going to be like, that's going to be tough because we've kind of beaten Tampa, but not enough to be like, okay, yeah, we can knock them out of the first round and go and play in the division semifinal. I don't know. That's the weird part of it. Is like, do you want to go for a rental and push it, or do you want to wait it out? Now, if you do make a move, more like a depth move, that could be more of a long-term solution, but it's not going to be a super big name. You're talking more of like a bottom six guy or a top six winger that is not going to make a massive salary hit on the team. Can be calorie hit too, because you got to make sure you guys are fit and good. But I would say that's more than anything else. It's like if they're going to make a move, it's going to be for a guy that's going to be a long term rather than a rental, because this team right now is not in a spot where we can go and give up draft capital for a rental. So no, I don't see the Hawks giving up a first rounder for Taylor Hall just for a rental, unless they know they can get Taylor Hall on a long term deal that's going to manage with the cap, because now the fact that they have cap space next year, you're going to see guys get extensions that you didn't think that was going to happen for the next 3 years, because Seaberg's contract was still going to last for another 3 or 4 seasons. Now he's retired. Now you have all that cap space to go get guys in free agency. So I see the Hawks doing that more than anything else, in my opinion. Because when you get that $21 million gap now in the cap space, that's more of like, let's go get someone in free agency and let's go extend guys. Yeah, rather than give up draft capital for a rental that may or may not work, and then maybe sign them.
Yeah,
so
I could definitely see a move, even to get more picks to build up for an off-season move. They could sit there and move a guy lower in your depth for a 5th round pick or 6th round pick that doesn't really matter, and then you get 2 or 3 extra picks in your repertoire that you can use.
Yeah, like
part of a package in the off-season.
Yeah, we're looking like at a Carlson or Ryan Carpenter, stuff like that. Like we have depth guys for days. Like you can go and do that.
Yeah,
but at least we're not looking at a situation where it's like, all right, we're going to another offseason. Let's go get our Janmarks and Walmarks and Ryan Carpenters and Mannings and stuff like that, where it's like guys who are okay, but you gotta get them on like a $2 million or less deal, because you really can't just go blow your entire salary cap on 1 or 2 guys because it's so tight. Now it's more open. Now you can go get like 3 or 4 guys on relatively good contracts to build the team up. So and go get draft capital. So like I said, if we're going to make trades, it's going to be for a guy that either we can control for a long time. That's not going to take a lot of cap space, or they're just not, or they're going to, get enough of a package where it's just, some if it's going to be a rental, it's not going to be super expensive. So I don't see the Hawks making a super duper splash. Unless they do, then I would be shocked. Then, like I said, then it's going to have to, you got to hope that's for long term, not just for a rental, because rentals right now just makes no sense for the Hawks because they're not in a spot where they're going to go get a rental and they're okay with it. Because if we're talking like 2013, 2015, and 10, you go for the rental picks because this is a team that can go win the cup. Does this team can they win the cup? Maybe if they get really hot, but I don't see it in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a delicate process for Chicago for sure because you always want to go for the cup, right? No matter what, you want to win the cup. But there's definitely an interesting situation in Chicago with your salary cap and then players that you have out that can come back and things like that. It's you don't want to sour a relationship that you have. You don't want to bring in, for example, you wouldn't want to try and make a move for Jack Eichel. Okay, well that's going to piss off Jonathan Toews. That's not something that you want to do. So there's definitely a delicate process that needs to be kind of tiptoed around in Chicago in terms of, do you want to make moves? If so, who do you want to bring in? Do you want to bring in a depth guy to, help us be ready and have fresh legs for a playoff run? Do you want to bring in another goaltender and maybe get rid of Subban or something? Or, there's a lot that you can do there, but there's definitely a process you need to maneuver around.
Yeah, you really have to figure out because you want to do the short term moves, but you also got to think of it in the long term as well, because you got to make the moves that's going to help the team out not just for this season but also for the future as well. And where the Hawks are at right now in terms of a team that's on the fringe of they are a playoff team. Now, am I saying they're a cup contender? No, and I don't think getting that one splashy move is going to make you go from a playoff team to a Stanley Cup contender, because that's still a huge gap, because you still got Tampa, Florida, Carolina, Colorado, Vegas, the Leafs, the Habs, Edmonton, possibly Islanders. There's so many teams that are clearly better than the Hawks right now. It makes me kind of do I want us to go make a push? Sure. Do I think it's going to help us? Maybe. It's just right now where the Hawks are at, there are probably at least a good 2-3 guys away from doing it. And I just right now on rentals, I don't want to give up draft capital and guys we have now to go get a possibility of keeping guys for maybe 3-4 months. Yeah. No, if we're going to go get people, I would prefer to have a guy who we can get for a rental that's depth help more than anything else, and then see what we do in free agency. Because right now, free agency and the draft and getting draft capital is probably a bigger option right now. And I think we can get more guys in free agency with a bigger cap that we have right now, instead of worrying about getting a guy that's on a rental and maybe have a push to go get the cup. Like I said, you want to go for the cup, but you got to think of what is your path that you want to go on.
And I think with Chicago, the big thing right now is, you have the flat salary cap, this whole issue because of COVID. Do you want to try to maybe make it to the second or third round of the playoffs, or do you want to really set yourself up for the future and prepare to be a legitimate contender in 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, something like that? Yes, they need to worry about the future rather than right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning on. That's what I think Stan Bowman's going to do, because Stan Bowman, he does make trades that make you scratch your head, like trading Brandon Saad twice. One of them was to get him back for Artemi Panarin, which is still makes no sense to me whatsoever. But of course, there's $10 million. There's 10 million reasons why we couldn't keep him, and that makes sense. But it's just. That's where I see Stan Bowman going. He's not going to go make the splash move. He's like, we're going to build the long term. The Hawks are good, but we're not there yet to be like, let's go make a push for the cup. Yeah, because no one had us even right now, like we said earlier. No one had us in the 4 spot.
No,
we're exceeding expectations. All of our young guys are playing really well. Like I said, Kurashev, Kubalik, Suter, DeBrink gets back. He's doing really well. I'm not back, but I'm talking about his scoring touches back. Strom's been playing really well, and we're still getting other guys who are injured right now trying to come back. And Lankinen is playing out of his mind. So it's just, I see more of the Hawks being we're going to wait for free agency, see what we can do there, and get better within 2 or 3 seasons, but still have a team that can go make a playoffs and maybe go for a first or second round exit rather than go get Reynolds right now and still get bounced in the second round or first round, but give up draft capital or give up more than we need for a couple months of rental. If
anything, in my eyes, it seems like it's a really good season to give all the young guys even more experience.
I think that's basically that's how all of us Hawks fans, the ones that are actually realists and okay, don't take the wins and losses as how a normal fan would. It's more of all right, if we get wins, great. If we lose, all right. If we lose, well, that's going to happen because our team is young, and that's what the season was. It was mostly for us to see our young guys get better. And that's all. That's all that was. We understood that this is a year to get to see what we have in our young guys. Yep. Subban, Delia, Lankinen, like I said, all the guys I've talked about before, the Swiss connection that we have.
Yeah,
it's more so of our young guys, and that's what this year is going to be. It's more of let's see how the young guys do. We might bring back Walmark and Yanmark possibly, and then whoever we get in free agency to build around. Of course, we get Doc and Taves back and stuff like that, and if whatever happens with Andrew Shaw. So yeah, I agree with you. This is more of a season where we're looking at let's keep rolling with the young guys, see what they can do, and let's go build off what the season was and build it in the free agency and the draft and see what 2021, 2022 brings and go from there. Because right now, being a rental makes no sense for the Hawks.
No,
like I said, unless it's for a depth bottom 6 or a top 6 winger that's not going to take up maybe no more than $3 million in cap space.
Yeah,
So,
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, right now it makes, and if we move Subban for someone else, then okay, we move Subban because right now Subban's okay, but there's still a lot that he needs to work on. And like I said, I think he's only got one more year after this deal because he's got a 2-year deal. He's on his one of 2. So the Hawks could go make a move in the offseason to get rid of Subban and go get someone else. It all really depends.
Yeah,
but yeah, I see more of a depth pickup than anything else. I don't see a splash move for the Hawks right now because we're not there yet to make a splash move, especially for a rental.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. 100%.
Yeah. So the coming up from the schedule for the Hawks, I know we got Alex. Who did you say we have again this week? Sorry, stupid internet's running slow. Yeah, so we got Nashville tomorrow night at 8. Then we got them a back-to-back Saturday, Sunday, 8:00 each. And we got that series against Carolina, during midweek, and then we got that one game next Saturday in Nashville. So this is going to be huge. We got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. We got Carolina and Nashville. We're going to have to.
You guys need to make sure
we got to win a good majority of those games.
No, you have to win every game against Nashville.
Yeah,
and then Carolina. Optimistically, you want to.
You got to split. You got to split. You got to split Carolina.
If you lose both of them, it's not the end of the world, especially if you take all of these against Nashville.
Yeah, but then you have to go to Dallas, and you got to play Dallas at home. You got to beat Dallas.
Yeah,
if you lose to Carolina, if we get swept in the Carolina series, then we got to go sweep Dallas. Because at that point, you got to beat the teams that are below you. You got to keep them below you.
I mean, maybe not necessarily because after that, you have your 2 games against the Blue Jackets. Then you have 2 games against Detroit. You should win those. Then you have 3 consecutive games against Nashville. You should be able to win those too. So it's one of those things if you lose, I don't know. I think it all depends on what happens, where the Blackhawks are in the standings and where the Blue Jackets are in the standings or the Predators are in the standings or Dallas or anything like that. I think a lot of it depends on what you need to do. You could sit there and be well, I'm going to go win every game for the rest of the year. Are you going to? No, you're not.
At this point, you almost have to go by week, game by game basis and just be like, all right, you got to take care of do your job and take care of business against in those specific games. But yeah, you got to go by week basis at this point because that's all.
Yeah, that's what you have to. Ahead. Because I mean, if you look at it, not being ridiculous here, if the Blue Jackets find their game very quickly, that could be very interesting for both teams. The Blue Jackets could skyrocket in the standings, but we don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make our 2-game series, the last 2 we have against each other, really interesting, because that's a massive, massive swing in the standings. Because however that series goes, it's gonna determine who might get the 4 spot against when they play everyone else.
Yeah, 100%.
So that April series is going to be wild.
Don't forget April 10th. What are we doing?
Live stream.
What?
So yeah, so it's definitely gonna be interesting for sure. But I'm excited though, man. So, but that will wrap up our Blackhawks segment of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast. If you want to check out the Blue Jackets segment, that'll be coming out here in a few days, and it's also our general NHL talk as well. So if you guys enjoyed this new format of us doing individual shows for just the individual Hawks or Jackets, make sure to let us know. Tweet at us or email us as well. And, just let us know what you think of the format. And if you like our full length shows, let us know too, because we might just be able to put all these together as a normal one full episode. So like I said, we love your feedback. But if you guys like this format, let us know, because we can definitely do more of this in the future where we're more heavily invested just talking about our individual teams and the whole general NHL as a whole, especially when we get closer to the playoffs. We're definitely doing a lot of playoff stuff coming up once we get closer and stuff like that. Definitely going to be looking out for our playoff predictions and stuff like that, and all of our matchup talk. But until next time, that is Alex. I'm Zach. And at Cannons and Tomahawks, it's all about 3 things: beer, food, and hockey.
Thank you for listening to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. Beer, food, and hockey.